Hi, everybody. My name is Eyal Arad. I'm the CEO of Video Sites. And today I'm going to talk to you about new revenue streams for football clubs and especially for elite football clubs using the what we consider organic boosts. Next slide, please. A few words about Video Sites. Uh, we've developed a technology to track all videos on social as they spread across the different social platforms, being re-uploaded and shared with fans, user-generated content, and so on. We know when your fans create content. And with this technology, we help rights holders, meaning studios, networks, leagues, clubs, and so on, maximize the revenues out of their content. So on one side, we help stop or practically eliminate social piracy. Whenever someone restreams your event, we know it and we take it down. On the other one, and this is what we're going to discuss today, whenever someone re-uploads your ad, highlight, promo, or again, what we call the positive side of copies, we know it and we help you maximize your monetization out of it. So for example, if I would re-upload a goal clip of Messi or Ronaldo, that is not necessarily piracy. And if I get 1 million views on my channel, that's great, but no one would ever know. So what Video Sites does, we track all of those fan re-uploads, of course, including your own channels and your affiliates, but we provide you an holistic view of your fan engagement all across social platforms and help you maximize monetization. Next slide, please. Just before we go to examples, I want to explain to you how it works and what's under the hood. So we've developed the technology that tracks all videos according to the visual properties within the content. It's kind of a Shazam, but for video. So we track all videos, we find all copies of your content, meaning short forms, long forms, manipulated content, meshed up, live or VOD. We track it and we know it immediately. And with this technology that is also boosted by contextual engine, meaning content that is being related to your event, interviews before and after, and any other type of content, they are all brought into one database that you see here in the center. Now, with this technology, we're tracking, of course, everything you put on your own channels, everything your affiliates upload to their own channels, meaning your media partners, your teams, your sponsors, ad agencies, and so on, everything they create, we track, of course, but also what we consider as organic boosts. These are the fans, re-uploads, user-generated content, commentaries, communities that are using your content, and any other non-affiliate that is posting content around your event. Now, once everything is in one database, then we have the ability to provide to you the full reach and engagement of your content and provide the true brand visibility and media value of your content. Next slide, please. Now, of course, we track every logo in every frame in all videos, not only your own videos, but also all fan re-uploads. So we can create and analyze the actual or the true media value of your content. Next slide. And when we talk about different revenue streams, please bear in mind that within your content and the content that is spreading across social, there are different monetization and revenue streams. One of them, of course, is upselling of your sponsorship deals thanks to the extra exposure that your fans are creating for you. That's one. The second one is better interacting with your content, seeing how they engage with your content and better creating your content to increase your overall reach and engagement. That's two. The third one is using third-party content monetization, and there are actually two aspects to this. One is to claim faster and claim more on YouTube, Facebook, and other monetizing channels. So since we track everything, even stuff that YouTube and Facebook are missing, we help you claim more. And since we track it very early on, we help you to maximize the revenue out of your own monetization channels. But also, we help you find those super fans, those micro influencers that are already engaging with your content. They have communities They have followers that are using your content, but you never knew anything about them. We help you identify them, communicate with them, and then immediately increase monetization by creating this collaboration with them. And the last one that is always a part of the deal is to stop piracy at the same time, meaning stop all social piracy and then let viewers converge back to the legitimate streams. Next slide. Now, for those of you who've seen me present before, you know I'm a data kind of guy. And this is something that you can see in PwC Sports Survey that was published 2 days ago using video site data. What you're seeing here is let's start with the color coding. You can see it on the bottom left. Everything you see as yellow is coming from owned channels, meaning, and by the way, this survey was including different types of sports, different leagues, different clubs, and taking into consideration different types of distribution of video. So, of course, in yellow, the owned channels, meaning the clubs or the teams' channels, and everything they upload there. Affiliates in light orange. These are, again, media partners, sponsors, and so on, influencers, and all those. And the dark orange are what we call organic boosts. These are fan re-uploads, non-affiliates. So what you can see already on the left, the citations, meaning the number of videos, you can see that 80% of videos around your event, around any event on average, are out there across fan channels, not on your own channels. And when you look at the engagement in the middle and on the views on the right, you can see that on average, almost 30% of the views are out there on fan channels not leveraged by you. And of course, within those channels, you can find super fans, you can find collaborations, you can find extra media value that should be monetized. And 30%, just bear in mind, if you didn't use these 30% and measured only the owned and affiliates, then this is almost a 50% increase to your numbers, 50% increase to your viewership, to your media value, and so on. And these are average numbers. As promised, what I'm going to show you now are case studies from elite clubs and how they can potentially get even more than that. So let's start with the first case study in the next slide. Let's take Real Madrid versus Sevilla. Single game. We tracked to 2,700 uploads with almost 40 million views. And as you can see, we also calculate other values, including the media value, which we chose here to omit from this presentation. But of course, we have this value also to the customer. Next slide. Different color coding. Okay, let's start with a graph on the top left. Everything you see in purple is coming from the own channel. Here, this was done with the eyes of Real Madrid. So everything you see in purple is coming from Real's channels. And if we're talking about number of uploads, this is the uploads they created. Everything you see in different shades of blue is coming from affiliates. In this case, the league, La Liga, media partners, influencers, other teams, everything they create officially is found in blue. And everything you see as yellow is what we call, again, organic boost. These are fan UGC content around this specific game. Now, if you look at the viewership in the middle, you can see that the viewership is practically tripled by the fans. If you used to measure owned and affiliates, then the increase of organic boost practically triples your numbers. Next slide, please. Here you can see the analysis after analyzing all exposure of all brands and all logos within all videos, including the fan videos, the thousands of fan videos. And you can see the impact that it has on the different sponsors. Now with this, of course, you can see, let's start with the top one. You can see that the value coming from the own channel is in purple. The value coming from affiliate channels is in blue. And the value coming from the organic boost, the fan channels that you never knew of, this is found in yellow, and you can see that it practically doubles some of these brands. In case of Adidas, it practically gives you 4x the media value that you use to measure. Now, of course, this is something that VideoSite is the only company, by the way, that can provide you this data about organic boost. Next slide, please. This is another important value. In this tab, you can practically find the channels that created most engagement around your event or events, and do the analysis to find, first of all, evaluate your own channels and evaluate your affiliates. Are they creating enough content? How can you make them better? But the second one, this is your place to find the super fans. You can see them in yellow, the channels in yellow that are creating a lot of engagement for you, but you never knew that they existed. So you can then sign them up, or at least create a collaboration. Some of them will be individuals, some of them will be media companies that are posting your content without doing it officially. Next slide, please. And here you can see, well, we like to show a lot of information, a lot of value that is coming from knowing how people post, when people post. In the middle circle here, in the middle pie chart, you can see the engagement during the game. Now you can see that during the game, there were 3 million views only. And after the game, there were 38 million views on the highlights, meaning that you can know when people watch your content. People watch these highlights mostly after the game. You know when to post, you know which platforms, you know what type of content works when. And this is another way to optimize your creation of content to reach better engagement, to reach better exposure to your sponsors. I'm cutting it very short because we don't have that much time. Next slide, please. I'm going to run through a couple of more examples because we don't have too much time. Next slide. So let's look at an MLS All-Star game, quite recent one, 1,300 copies, 21 million views. Next slide. Here again, you can see how fans practically double the viewership numbers. Next slide. And you can see what it does to the media value. Again, almost doubling the media value and more than doubling for other brands. Very valuable to show your sponsors as a way to justify sponsorship, and not to mention that you don't need to buy views if you're not reaching your limits. Next slide. Another example, Milan versus Inter. Next slide. Again, amazing value. In this view, you can compare between the in-game engagement on the bottom circles and the overall engagement on the top circles. Of course, the platform distribution is different on the right. You can see in game, it's mostly Twitter. After the game, it's mostly YouTube and Facebook. So it's, again, very interesting to analyze. Next slide. And again, media value impact. Okay, very important. Next slide. Juventus game. I think I don't need to say much more about that. Next slide. Last example is PSG with Celtic. It was a friendly game. Next slide. And again, you can see almost tripling the numbers. That's amazing to see how fans really contribute to your total numbers, to your actual numbers. Next slide, please. Now, to look at an average for elite clubs, we looked at the average for the entire sports industry. But when we focus on football clubs and the elite football clubs, you can see that the numbers for uploads are practically 95%. It's not 80% like previously. And the engagement and viewership are closer to 60%, not 30%. That's 150% increase to what you used to measure. So, of course, this means that you have a lot of money on the table that you can now start collecting in different types of monetization, immediate, long-term, and increasing your fan engagement. Next slide. We're almost to the end. I cannot end the presentation without mentioning piracy. Now, you know that the difference between fan engagement and piracy is your policy eventually. Now, as we see fan engagement going very on social, growing very quickly, especially in the last year and a half, we see the same pattern for social piracy. And just for an example, in this project, we tracked, only monitored the Euro 20 live stream piracy. And it's amazing to see that in these 51 games, we tracked 21,000 live streams that were online on average for 40 minutes, almost till halftime. High quality, very easily accessible and to watch, and practically gained 60 million illegal views. So I'm showing this to say that while you're increasing the value on one side from your fan engagement, you have to take down all social piracy to make sure that the eyeballs are in the correct place. Next slide. We're just out of time. So I want to thank World Football Summit to having us. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them online, of course. You have my email, or approach me through the app, and thank you so much.